Hi, this video is really about the book of Revelation and how it's to be understood. Because you hear a lot of people who claim, hey, the Revelation 12 sign, we've already seen it, it's already happened, or just all types of weird things about Revelation or where we're at and the timeline of, of the Bible. So, my take is that the book of Revelation is actually a chronological book, and I'm going to go through that now. But I get that really from the first chapter, chapter 1, verse 19. He tells John, write the things which thou hast seen, and the things which are, and the things which shall be hereafter, right? So, right off the bat, he's saying, look, this is going to be a chronological thing. The things which you've seen, that's past. The things which are, that's present. And the things which shall be hereafter, that's the future. So then we start going through it. You're in getting past Revelation 1 and then chapters 2 and 3. He's talking to the churches, right? Chapter 1 is the things which were, that's the past. Chapters 2 and 3, those are the things that are now. He's talking those churches, the church at Laodicea, Philadelphia, all those churches, they were there now. Then you start getting into chapter 4 and you're starting to look at the things that are in the future, right? So if chapter 4 is the future, then chapter 12 definitely is the future too, and it has not happened yet because I believe in chapter either 4 or 5 when John hears the trumpet, yeah, chapter 4 verse 1, and I heard as it were a trumpet talking with me saying, "Come up hither." That's the rapture. So the church, you see the churches in chapters 2 and 3, that's the things which were at the time of John. By chapter 4, you're at the rapture. So the rest of the stuff hasn't even happened because it's going to kick off after chapter 4 at the rapture. So then you get past chapter 4 into verse 5, and you see the everybody's weeping in heaven in chapter 5 because there's a scroll, a seven sealed scroll. Nobody can open it. And I think everybody's weeping because that's basically the victory. That's reclaiming the title to the earth, right? Somebody has to be able to open that, and it's the Lamb that's going to be able to open that, which we see. And then another thing to kind of really logically understand with that is nothing in that scroll has happened yet because it's still sealed, right? It's still got seven seals on it, and like I said, the rapture hasn't happened, so a seal hasn't happened yet. Has not been opened on that scroll until the rapture takes place, right? But then in chapter six, you start seeing the seals getting opened, right? And you can see all the devastation that comes abruptly when these seals start getting opened. I mean, famine worldwide, war worldwide, uh, just things we're definitely not seeing right now. But you see all these seals getting opened, and then it'll drop hints actually throughout the scriptures because it'll say, "And after these things, and after these things," which just keeps kind of hinting that it's really chronological. Like you see after the seals of chapter 6 and chapter 7, it starts off, and after these things, right? So chapter 7 saying it's after chapter 6, after these seals have been opened. And you keep going on, and it talks about what's happening there. You go to chapter 8, says, starts off again. When he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heavens for the space of about a half an hour. So that's it's putting a time in there. It's saying there's a half hour wait after the things that have already happened, right? So then you keep going. The first angel sounds a trumpet. The trumpets start getting sounded. complete devastation, which we haven't seen at all. None of this stuff has happened at all because it doesn't happen until none of this kicks off until after the rapture. We're going to be up in heaven, I believe, and we'll see Jesus opening these them seals or receiving the scroll and all this stuff kicking off. We'll be up in heaven. I believe in the pre-tribulation rapture of the church. But you get to chapter 10, um, more things happen. Chapter 11, you get to the two witnesses, and there's a caveat to this one kind of because it talks about how uh, they're going to prophesy for 3.5 years, 1,260 days, and most people believe that they're going to begin their prophecy at the start of the tribulation, and I do too. And I think the only caveat to this, I think this is still chronological, but what it does, if you notice, is it talks about the end of their prophecy. So it puts it in chapter 11 rather than like at chapter 5 where the rapture happens, but it does that talking about the end of their prophecy. So it's kind of letting you know, like, hey, this is the end. And so if you went back 3.5 years, you would get back to like chapter 5 or the end of chapter 4. So that it will do something like that, but it tells you everything that they do during their prophecy, but it really says it's really showing the end of their prophecy. Like if you get to verse 7 of chapter 11, it's saying, hey, they're going to lie in the street, for 3.5 days. And it really didn't say anything about the prophecy other than what they're going to do during their prophecy. But it doesn't really say that. It doesn't talk about the start of it. It really talks about the end of it. So I think that's the way to understand that. And then you go on, and then it really brings up the next 3.5 years in chapters 11 and 12. Basically they're going to get, that's basically the midpoint at that point. Then the next 3.5 years are going to come, and that's when, we know who's going to come into the temple, commit the big abomination of desolation, and, complete destruction from there. And the remnant of Israel are going to flee into the wilderness. And yeah, and then it keeps going on about that. The beast is going to basically take control over the entire earth at this point. And God keeps bringing on destruction. And really till you get, that's really what it is up until you get to chapter 19. And that's when, Jesus comes back, right? Jesus comes back, I think, with us at chapter 19, sets up the kingdom. Chapter 20 is about the 1,000 years, so that's going to be the millennial kingdom right there, all of that. And then you get to the very end when it's the new heaven and new earth, so the eternal state. And, New Jerusalem and all that. So I think the best way to understand Revelation is it's a chronological book. There might be that one caveat where it talks about the two witnesses coming, but it's really just hinting at, hey, this is their end of their prophecy. They're really, they started 3.5 years ago, but we're just telling you this is how it ended. So, yeah, I just wanted to post that video because you hear so many people saying, oh, this seal's been broken, or this Revelation 12 signs happen. And no, I don't think so, because we haven't seen anything like what's going to be coming on, and when those seals start really getting broken, we haven't seen anything like that. So I don't think anything in Revelation has happened, and it won't happen until the church is raptured, which happens in chapter 4, which will kick off the rest of this book. So let me know what you think.